Okay. So page 6 says in the picture below, angle K, or sorry, not angle, ray KJ and ray KL are opposite rays. Then it says ray KN bisects angle LKM. So KN, this ray right here, bisects angle LKM. So here's L over to K and up to M. Because this pink ray, KN, is bisecting this blue angle, what do we know about these two smaller angles? They are congruent. Absolutely correct. So I'm going to go ahead and mark them with some congruence markings to show that they are the same size. And then it tells me that the measure of angle MKN is 68 degrees. So here's M, down to K, up to N. So this angle right here is 68 degrees. Well, if that angle is 68 degrees, how big is this angle? Also 68 degrees because it's congruent. That is angle LKN. The measure of angle LKN is 68 degrees. They asked me to find that right there. So we found one of our angles. Because KN is a bisector. That means it cuts the bigger one in half. If it cuts it in half, it cuts it into two equal-sized parts. Good question. All right, now we're going to go find angle MKL. M, down to K, over to L. Well, angle MKL is this whole blue angle here. How big is this whole angle? Or what would I do to find it? Yep. We're going to add 68 with the other 68 because I have this angle together with this angle here. Thank you, yes. So the measure of angle MKL is equal to the measure of angle LKN plus the measure of angle MKN. And those two angles were both 68. So we're going to add the 68 and 68 together, and you said that that was 136? Yeah. Awesome, thank you. Measure of angle MKL is 136 degrees. And then the last thing they ask me to find is the measure of MKJ. Here's M, K, J. They're asking me to find this angle. Well, this big blue angle and this angle that they've just asked me to find, they share this side right here. Do you guys remember what we call angles that share a side? Starts with an A. Adjacent. They're adjacent angles. The sides that they don't share, this one right here and JK, together they form this straight line, JL. What do we call adjacent angles that together make a straight line? Starts with an L. A linear pair. And linear pair angles add up to how much? 180 degrees. So the measure of angle MKL plus the measure of angle MKJ is 180 degrees. We just figured out in the previous step that MKL is 136 degrees. So what do I need to do to find MKJ? Subtract. So let's subtract 180 minus 136. And what do we get? 44. So this is 44 degrees. Very nicely done. Let's flip it over to page 7. Complete each statement. Angle 1 and angle blank are vertical angles. So yesterday when we were talking about vertical angles, I told you I like to think of these as opposite angles. You have to have an X to find vertical angles, and they are going to be on opposite sides of the X. So angle 1 is this angle right up here. Which angle is on the opposite side of the X from angle 1? Angle 4. Nicely done. Angle 1 and angle blank form a linear pair. To be a linear pair, we just mentioned this, they have to share a side. And together make a line. So angle 1 and angle what? Share a side and together make a line. They have to share a side. Angle 2, they would share this side right here, and together they would make this line. So angle 2. Does anybody see a different answer that would also be correct? Angle 3, they would share this side and together make this line. So we have 2 right answers here. We have angle 2 or angle 3. They make a straight line, yes. Which means straight line means adds to 180 degrees because a straight line is 180 degrees. All right, angle 3, this angle right here, and angle 4, this angle right here. What's the name for that special pair? A linear pair. All right, angle 3 and angle 2. This angle over here, what's the name for that pair? Those are vertical angles. And what do we know about vertical angles? What's the relationship between those 2 angles? They come from an X, but there's something special. If I know the size of one, I can figure out the size of the other because they are congruent, yes. I have a similar relationship with linear pair. If I know one, I can find the other, but is that because linear pair angles are the same size? No. Talk to me about linear pair angles. Yep. Linear pair angles together make a line. When we put things together in math, what operation are we using? Add, subtract, multiply, or divide? Addition. So together, when I add them, it equals up to what? 180. Linear pair angles add to 180. And I bring that up because now we get to part E here. It says angle number 2 is 114 degrees. So here's angle 2. That's 114 degrees. There's another angle up there that I know is the exact same size. Angle 3. Angle 3, the vertical angle is the same size, so I can add that on the blank line here. 114. So what could I do now to find angle number 1? Yes, we're going to do 180 minus 114, 66. So angle number 1 is 66 degrees. How big is angle number 4 then? Also 66 degrees, because that is a vertical angle with angle number 1. Nice job. We're going to go look at problem number 10 next. And problem number 10 is going to be helpful for about 5 of the homework problems. Kind of the 5 that I told you, like, let's put that on the back burner until tomorrow. So let's go look at problem number 10 now.
I have one question.
Yes, absolutely.
I know how we got 114, but how do we get to 66?
180 minus 114, it's up at the top in orange. If you look above the X, we did 180 minus 114. And we did 180 minus 114 because these two angles, this angle here and this angle here, they're a linear pair. They're side by side. They share this side right here, and together they make this straight line. So they add to 180. It's a really great question. All right, let's go look at number 10 now. In number 10, I notice that I have an X, which means I'm going to be able to find what type of angle in the picture. Vertical angles. Vertical angles are also my opposite angles. Do you guys see a pair of vertical angles here? Yes. What variable is in the vertical angles that you could pair together? X. This angle right here. And this angle right here. And what can we do with vertical angles? We just wrote this down on the previous page. What's the relationship between my vertical angles? They're congruent. My vertical angles are congruent. And what do we do with congruent things? Congruent means they are the same size. What do we do with things that are the same? Set them equal, yes. So 3x minus 16 is equal to 5x minus 110. And now we're going to solve this for x. So I'm going to minus 3x from both sides. Bring down this negative 16. Don't forget your negative sign there. Negative 16 equals 2x minus 110. I want to get x all alone, so I'm going to add 110 to both sides next. What is negative 16 plus 110? 94. And then to finish getting x by itself, we divide both sides by 2. What is 94 divided by 2? 47. So x is 47. Nicely done. Okay, so that helped me find x. We still need to find y. Well, here's y. Do I have a vertical angle for y that I can set it equal to? No, the vertical angle would be over here, so there is a vertical angle for it, but I don't have anything there that I can set it equal to. So I have to make a different relationship. I either have to talk about these two angles or these two angles. And they have the same relationship either way, because here they share this side and together make this line. With the purple angle, they share this side and together make this line. let's do the one with 3x minus 16. They share a side. Together they make a line, which means these two angles here are what special angle pair type? Linear pair. Are linear pair angles congruent? No. They don't even look like they're the same size on the picture, although I have to be careful about the way pictures look because sometimes books are just as bad of an artist as I am. So we got to be careful by the way it looks, but you're right, they don't look the same here. So I'm not going to set them equal to each other because they're not congruent. What other relationship do we have? What is my linear pair relationship? They add to 180. All right, so I'm going to take these two things and I'm going to add them together and set them equal to 180. I have angle Y plus my other angle, the one with the x, 3x minus 16. And we're going to equal that to 180. I have an issue. I have an x and a y. Can you combine two different variables together? But what do I know from what I just did that can help me now?
You can substitute.
We can substitute. I have y plus 3 times, what kind of substituting are we doing here? 47 in the place of x minus 16 equals 180. Let's take the part that's the numbers, this part right here, and pop that whole thing into our calculator. 3 times 47 minus 16. 125. Y plus 125 equals 180. So then I minus 125 from both sides. What is 180 minus 25? 55. 125 is what you get when you do 3 times 47 minus 16. Oh, no, 125. So 180 minus 125 to get our answer for y of 55. This problem right here, on the homework problems where you see an X, or it might even look like a plus sign, use this problem right here, page number 7, problem number 10. Have that out with your homework. Or if you forget your notes at school, where else do I post these? On Canvas. You can always pull it up on Canvas. You can listen to me talk through this problem again if that will help you. But there are 5 problems on the homework where you're going to want to use this as a guide. If they're vertical angles, you're going to set them equal. If they're side by side, you're going to plus them and equal it to 180. All right, let's look at number 11. If they're vertical angles, so if they're opposite sides of the X, you will set them equal. If they're side by side and together they make that straight line, you will plus them and equal it to 180. Right. Let's look at number 11 now. It says KM is an angle bisector. Let's go find KM. Right here. It is an angle bisector of, and here we have a typo. Is there a point C anywhere in the picture? No. This is supposed to be angle LKJ, not LCJ. My finger slipped. I hit the wrong button. Angle LKJ. So here's L, down to K, and over to J. So this angle right here is the one being bisected. What does bisect mean again? Cut in half. So what do we know about these two angles? They are equal, they are congruent. So I have an angle here and a congruent angle here. It says angle LKM is 4x minus 9. L down to K up to M. So this little angle right here is 4x minus 9. And then it says the measure of angle LKJ. Is that this angle over here? LKJ. Yeah, L is up here, then down to K, and then over to J. Angle LKJ is this whole thing here. Clean up my handwriting a little bit. Can I set those things equal? Are they the same size? No. I only know the size of one of the angles on the inside, but what do we know about this one over here? It's congruent, it's the same size. So how many angles that are this big do we have inside the whole angle? I have 2 of them that are that size. So if I had 2 angles that were the same size as angle LKM, that would give me the measure of angle LKJ. Well, I have an expression for LKM. What was that expression? 4x minus 9. That's what I'm going to put in the place of LKM. And then do I have something that I can put in for LKJ?
Yes.
9x minus 29 goes in for LKJ. So now that I have my equation set up, we're going to distribute this 2 to both pieces here inside the parentheses. So I get 8x minus 18 equals 9x minus 29. Let's get our x's to the same side first. So I'm going to minus 8x from both sides. I'm going to bring down my negative 18. Don't forget that minus sign in front of the 18. What is 9x minus 8x? 1x. So just x and then minus 29. To get x all by itself, I need to plus 29 to both sides. Yep, because I want to get the x all alone, and it's x minus 29. I have to make the minus part cancel, and so we do that with a plus. What is negative 18 plus 29? 11. All right. We did part of what they asked me to do. They said find x. We did that. What else were we supposed to accomplish in this problem? Find MKJ. Go over to my picture. M down to K and then over to J. So this angle right here. I don't have an expression for that angle. How am I going to do this? Put it into LKM because we know that LKM and MKJ are the same size. So this one down here is also 4x minus 9. The measure of angle MKL is equal to the measure of angle MKJ, not MKL. MKJ, I'm so sorry. Is equal to the measure of angle LKM. So that is 4x minus 9. And we just figured out that x is 11. So I have 4 times 11 minus 9. So that's 44 minus 9. What is 44 minus 9? 35. 44 minus 9 is 35.
Yeah.
Because we just found an angle, and this is my final answer. I'm looking at this. I see that I'm finding an angle. We put units of degrees anytime we find an angle. Nice work. So we've now finished all the stuff that you need to do your homework. This problem right here is really helpful for the last couple problems on the front side, where they give you a small angle and a big angle, so we can't set them equal. What we're starting on now, you're going to use to help you with the next homework, which you'll get tomorrow. I don't want to load you guys down with too many homework assignments at once. We're going to talk about some angle relationships, and hopefully the angle relationships that we talk about today are going to be at least a little bit familiar. I'm hoping that you've already heard these words a couple times before in the past. Might have been a minute. We're going to talk first about complementary and supplementary angles. Give me a quick hand in the air if you've at least heard those words before. Complementary and supplementary. Fantastic. All right, so complementary angles have a sum of 90 degrees. These two angles add to 90 degrees. Supplementary angles, on the other hand, have a sum of 180 degrees. So this is going to be two angles that add to 180 degrees. Something that I want to pause and say right here, because it comes up every year that I teach this. Do not put in your head that complementary means 90, because that's not going to help you when you're looking at the page and you've got two angles and it says they're complementary and you don't know what to do to them. When you think about this, I want you to remember that complementary adds to 90. Supplementary adds to 180. You need to remember the operation with the 90 and the 180 there. All right, so we've got a couple examples here. I have a 30-degree angle and a 60-degree angle. What happens when you add 30 and 60 together? You get 90, which means these would be what types of angles? Complementary. Over on the right-hand side, 110 and 70. What do you get when you add 110 and 70? 180, which means these are supplementary. Do complementary and supplementary angles have to touch each other? No. Can they touch each other? Yes. Our next examples, we have touching angles. 23 degrees and 67 degrees together add up to 90, which means these are complementary angles. But they're touching each other. They are sharing a side. They share this side right here. So that means these are adjacent angles because they share a side together. When I have touching angles, when I have adjacent angles that together add up to 90, what do we call a 90-degree angle? Does anybody know? There's a special name that we have for a 90-degree angle. A right angle. Does anybody remember on a picture how you show something as a right angle? Yeah, we put a little box in the corner. It kind of looks like a little square in the corner. Mine is not going to be so little because I don't want to draw over the numbers. but we put a box in the corner to show that it is a right or 90-degree angle. So when my complementary angles touch, when my complementary angles are adjacent, together they make a right angle. Over here on the right side, I have 135 degrees and 45 degrees. That adds up to 180. Just like my other example, they share this side right here. But I notice that the side that they don't share, this side for my left angle and this side for my right angle, together that makes that straight line UX, right? What do we call angles that share a side that together make a straight line? Linear pair. Supplementary angles, if they touch, are a linear pair. If the supplementary angles touch, then they're a linear pair. Let's try a couple examples with complementary and supplementary. Let's flip over to page 9. It says, find the measure of two complementary angles. Complementary means what again? Add up to 90. So before I even read any further in this problem, I know I'm going to have something plus something equals 90 because they're complementary. The measure of the larger angle is 5 more. 5 more. Does that mean add, subtract, multiply, or divide if it's 5 more? Add. So plus 5 is 5 more than 4 times. What operation is times? Multiplication. So we're going to multiply by 4. 4 times the measure of the smaller angle. Do we know how big the smaller angle is? What should we call stuff that we don't know? X. I like it. Let's call it X. All right, so they described 2 angles here. We have a larger angle and we have a smaller angle. The smaller angle we've decided to call X. The larger angle is 5 more than 4 times X. Now I got to figure out how to write this. Talk to me about order of operations. Which one comes first, multiply or add? Multiply. So I have to do the 4 times my smaller angle, 4 times X, and then I can do the adding or subtracting that comes. So then I can do the plus 5 at the back. These are the 2 things that we're going to plug in. I have my larger angle, 4x plus 5, together with my smaller angle, x. And we're going to use this to solve for x now. Looking at just the left-hand side, I'm not going to touch the 90 yet. Are there any like terms that we should be putting together?
Yes.
Yes. X and 4x. What happens when I put x and 4x together? We get 5x. So 5x plus 5 equals 90. We want to get x alone, so I'm going to minus 5 from both sides. So 5x equals 85. And then we're going to divide both sides by 5. What is 85 divided by 5? 17. All right. We need to find the 2 angles, the smaller angle and the larger angle. When I just found x, did I find one of my two angles? Did I find the smaller one or the bigger one? The smaller one. So the smaller angle is 17 degrees. To find the larger angle, I'm going to need to plug in 4 times 17 plus 5. What is 4 times 17 plus 5? 73. So there's my larger angle and my smaller angle. And these two angles should add up to what? Should add to 90. So let's check that real quick. On your calculators, do 17 plus 73. 90. So it adds up to the right number. All right, number 2. The difference, difference means what operation? Add, subtract, multiply, divide. Subtract. The difference between the measures of two supplementary angles is 18. Supplementary means what again? Yep. Adds up to 180. The difference between the measures of two supplementary angles is 18 degrees. Find the measures of the two angles. That's not a lot of information to go on. I know that my two angles plus and equal 180. I know that my two angles minus and equal 18. Are these two angles the same size? No. When I minus them, one has to be bigger than the other if when I minus them I get 18. I don't have names for either of these. So are you guys okay if we call our larger angle X and our smaller angle Y? I don't know how big either one of these is. But we know they're complementary. So X plus Y equals 180. And their difference, X minus Y, equals 18. I don't know if you guys remember this from Algebra 1. This last problem over here, when we solved this, we used a process called substitution over here. Do you guys remember using substitution in Algebra 1?
Yes.
Yeah. The method that we're going to use over here, I could use substitution, but this is perfectly set up for a method called elimination. When I add these two equations together, one of my variables is going to cancel. Which variable will cancel when I add these two together? The y will cancel out. So what do I get when I add x and x together? We get 2x. 2x equals, and now I have to add these together. That is 198. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 2. What is 198 divided by 2? 99. X up here meant my larger angle, so my larger angle is 99 degrees. To find the smaller angle, I'm going to take this x, and I'm going to plug it into one of these two equations. Doesn't matter which one we use, we'll get the same answer either way. You guys okay if we use the top one? So using that top equation, x plus y equals 180. Actually, I think I'm going to write this all in light blue. We're going to put 99 in the place of the x. So 99 plus y equals 180. And then what do I do to find y? Subtract. What is 180 minus 99? 81. So my smaller angle then would be 81 degrees. So larger angle is 99, smaller angle is 81. We only have about 3 minutes left. That's not enough time for us to dig into the next piece, so I'm going to shut it down here for today. What do you need to have for me tomorrow? Homework number 1. The stuff that we did with complementary and supplementary is not on the homework. That'll be on the next one. Everything through page 7 in your notes packet, pages 1 through 7, you need to use on homework number 1, especially problem number 10 on page 7.
So this one we should be able to do all the problems.
You should be able to do all the problems now, yes. Tomorrow, we have something else coming up. We have a skills check, your first skills check of this module. We're going to take that tomorrow. So we'll grade homework first. We'll do a little bit in the notes. And then you'll take your skills check. I'll make sure that we have time after the homework for you to ask any questions that you still have before we do that skills check.